name is Vasco. I'll be moderating the next branch out session. It's going to be about university spin-offs, and we're very honored today to have a set of great entrepreneurs that are going to talk a little bit about the companies they've created and sort of the process of spinning out of university and the connection of those companies to the university and sort of the challenges that they faced. I will begin by introducing my first guest. So my first guest is João Vemens from WS Energia. João Vemens is the founder and senior developer at WS Energia. He holds a PhD in optics from Instituto Superior Técnico, and he studied at Harvard and MIT. And WS Energia develops leading-edge technology on the energy field. And I could go a little bit into it, but I think he's the best person to describe it, so I'm going to leave the floor to him. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you also for the invitation and for this opportunity. So after us, the president is coming, so we need to be very fast. So let's try to. Well, I will start anyway. So WS Energia is a company that started at IST. Me and another PhD student, we were studying a supernova and lasers, and for I would say 8 years, and we had a challenge from the Italian market that if we devise some product for the photovoltaic market to turn the solar energy into electricity, that this would be interesting, that the market would be growing in Europe. It was already existent, but that it would be growing in the next years. This was in 2007, and we knew nothing about a company. I've never worked for anyone else, and only with a scholarship. So we devised this new technology that came out of some scratch, and we realized that there was not so much innovation in this field. So we decided, let's not give this idea to somebody else. Let's use this idea to make our own company, even though we had no experience on this. So this was, we founded the company in 2007, and we won the Banco Espírito Santo Award for innovation in the renewable energy with that idea in 2007. And with that prize, a lot of awareness came to the company and gave us the final confidence that this would be a good idea. So we were born directly to the external market. We were born directly to the Italian market, and we were born directly with this prize that would put us in the spotlight. So. Luckily, 1 year after the market opened in Portugal for the solar residential business, so we sold a lot of this double sun technology. That was the awarding technology, and this left us some time to play around the company concept. So we knew nothing about a company, so we had this here 2008 to become aware of selling and doing all this stuff. The company was very small at the beginning. We were like 5 persons, and we reached 1 million sales in the first year. In the second year, the Italian market, as it was predicted, opened. and then we were able to use the same thing that we learned here in Portugal, in Italy, and we rose from 1 million euros in sales to 4.5 million euros, and then in the last year we reached the 16 million euros. So this was a very quick rise in sales, and well, it's basically due to the very heated market in solar. So the university. So we are here also to speak about the university. The university. It was interesting because at first it was not very supportive. They didn't give us a lot of support, but after we did the company and after we did some success with the company, now we have partnerships with a lot of universities in Portugal. We have the solar panels that are at the exit of this of this building, which is a partnership with this university, also with the Técnico, also with Évora, Porto, Coimbra. We have with all major universities here. So basically the partnership between WS Energia and the universities has been, they gave us the tools so that we could make this new technology. We launched this into the market, I would say, without almost any help from the university, and then we gave back. And I had some slides here mentioning some numbers of the number of theses, the number of PhDs, the number of masters that have been done in the company, and I will pass directly to that because we have not so much time. So we do a PV, we do innovation in every kind of PV that you know or that you will know in the future. It's changing very fast. PV, solar is, even with the crisis, is growing very, very fast, and it will be one of the things that will enter, I think, every part of every company, even if it's IT or energy, of course, or transportation. Anybody will need to know about solar. So, but the connection, and to end my time here, the connection between WS Energia and the university, I think now it's driven by WS Energia. So this is the number of institutions with which we have a cooperation. So in 2011 it were more than 10, and we have also more than 7 master theses. This is almost 1/3 of the persons in the company are making a master thesis while they are at the company in the university. And it was not the university that came to us. It was, we were looking for people in the university, and I think this was, it has been very, very interesting for the company, because this led to many partnerships and many new products that I had some slides here, but anyway, if you make some questions afterwards, I will tell you what's the future of solar energy and how will change our lives the way we are living it now.
Thank you. That's great. We're gonna keep going. I would like to introduce Pedro Balas. Pedro Balas is the founder and current CEO of eMove. In 2008, he invented and patented the electrical spherical generator, and he recently established his company in Silicon Valley, like 6 months ago, I think, California, and he, by invitation of Plug and Play Center, which is a great place. And eMove, I mean, I heard of this guys a while back from Torben. This was really amazing, and they're competing in the alternative energy sector. I'll please pass the floor to him. Thank you.
Thank you very much. $1 trillion. It's how much wave energy worth today. eMove was created 2 years ago in IST here in Portugal, and Nova and Católica, with several founders, 5 at the time. And we then realized that all wave energy devices that were deployed at the time, they all broke or sank and got pretty bad. Even Pelamis was here deployed in Portugal, and they all broke. So we really thought about this, and we thought this was a very curious case. And we start, as an engineer, working on a list with systems that broke or are really unreliable to make wave energy work. So we call it the not to do's list. And at the time we figured out that pumping systems, gearboxes, things, joints, all these kind of parts, bendable parts, mass, length, everything that can actually absorb energy or break or have high maintenance will eventually fail. And it's really bad engineering, like was Pelamis. And then we realized that if we keep it simple, like Ford told us about its Model T, he said that as many as parts as a car has, the most probable is to broke, and that's how we did it. Keep it simple. Another question is, everybody starts with an hydrodynamic concept and then go on off the shelf and take technologies that just simply work in wind and others, but won't work in wave energy. We started to create a generating system itself that will be fitable in a machine with later hydrodynamics concept. We thought about ESG. ESG is what we call an electric spherical generator, which is a generator but in 3 dimensions, can absorb kinetic energy, can absorb movement in any direction, produce electricity. This can be, we call it 3D electricity. It absorbs 37 times more than 2D configuration cylinder, and we thought this for waves because waves are not as linear as people think about it. Actually, it's 3D. Can be built in any size. We can build since small of these spheres and to huge, really big spheres. As a very high output in comparison with a 2D configuration, and it's cheaper. It's already a patent. We took this and we incorporated in a platform, floating platform for waves. Now we can absorb 500 kilowatt from waves, which this machine probably will be under the cost of wind and will be very profitable for us. It has no joints and it's gearless. It has no pumping systems. It only converts kinetic to electric directly, and it's solid, it's a sphere, and it's like a buoy, only 2 movable parts. Has 9-meter diameter in comparison with Pelamis, has 150 meter long, so it's really small. Here is the device, and here's a short video of Diogo making some waves on a prototype. No, again. Well, maybe later I can show you this. This is like an aquarium. Diogo is pumping waves, and it's lightening up almost 100 LEDs with his movement. And Blue Sphere's profile. It has 9-meter diameter, weighs 200 tons, produces 500 kilowatt. We can power up to 250 houses per year, and has this special material because since it's so smaller, we can think about better materials. Thank you very much.
Okay, great, thank you. I would like to present now João Fonseca from BioSurfit. The motto of BioSurfit is simplistic in diagnostics. I think it's pretty cool. And he's one of the founders and CEO. He holds a PhD in physics. So we should set up the laptop. Yeah. He holds a PhD in physics from Strasbourg, from the Louis Pasteur's Institute. And I would like to set the word.
Thank you very much. So Biosurfit is focused on medical diagnostics on point of care. We are based here at the campus. Are you here? Okay. We are based here at the campus of science faculty, and I'm going to briefly tell you what are we targeting. So we are targeting large unmet needs. You know, doctors all around the world are looking for fast and precise diagnostics in a set of parameters so that they can improve their diagnostic to patients. And the standard process is quite slow. It takes several hours to days to get results. And this is where we came in. We developed a small device, user-friendly. You can see it on the video. And that enables to use a single drop of blood and get results of multi-parameter in 10 to 15 minutes. You might notice that our cartridge is like a disc. I can show you here. It has a lot of technology inside the cartridge, and I will come back later on this topic. So basically, this technology was initially developed at the University of Lisbon. At the time that we started the Biosurfit, we thought that we had developed like 50% of the technology prior to setting up the company. Now I believe that less than 5% of the technology was developed during the university time. So the key points, I'm not going to sell you the product now, but the key points are small amount of blood, multi-parameter, and label-free. And in fact, we did transfer a lot of complexity from the machine into the cartridge. And we now hold 9 patents that cover the different aspects of Biosurfit. And you know, there's a lot of technology there, but the basic point is to use the same basic mechanism and then build different cartridges, and the business is on the cartridges for the different clinical conditions. Okay, so we believe our best assets are the people that work in the company. I show you here most of the people that work on a daily basis at Biosurfit. We have a very diverse background from different engineering fields and several PhDs, and it has been extremely important for us to be in an incubator in the University of Lisbon, and in that way to attract also people from high-profile backgrounds of scientific fields. Okay, I'm not going to tell you too much about the history of the company. We were funded by VC venture capital. We've gathered a funding of roughly 6 million euros. About 4 million euros from venture capital and 2 million euros from public funding from different projects. And some of these projects that were performed at Biosurfit were done with also different research groups in different universities in Portugal, not only in Lisbon, but in Beira Interior, in different areas from different fields. And in fact, we tried to find who were the best experts in different aspects of the technology, not only in Portugal, but all around the world, and we tried to work with them in those specific topics. I just have one last slide to tell you the key lessons we've learned from the experience of first working in research in the university and then setting up a company. And the first one for us was that there was no experience. In fact, there was no experience in the university to transfer this knowledge into a startup company. We gathered always a lot of support, moral support and so on, but there was no track to follow. And I know that things have improved in the last years. There are now some tech transfer centers and so on, but I'm sure that it may benefit a lot from startups to have this well-defined process to get the technology, the basic technology into a product. And the second lesson we learned is that we could have profit a lot to spend 1 year additional year or 2 additional years doing applied research inside the university. It didn't prevent us to do our work, but that's something that can benefit a lot from other projects that are being launched now. And finally, for us, it's extremely important to be in an incubator environment where we can share some infrastructure, share some equipment, and also share knowledge and be able to interact with lots of people from different backgrounds inside the university. Thank you very much. Okay. Hello? 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 Hello?
There we go. Okay, so our next panelist is actually someone I've known for, 12 years, Pedro Bizarro. Actually, we went together to the US in 2001, both as Fulbrighters, and he was one of the founders and is currently the Chief Science Officer at FeedSci. He's also a founding member of the Event Processing Technical Society. He lectured at universities such as Carnegie Mellon and University of Coimbra. As a Fulbrighter, he studied at the University of Wisconsin, where he got a PhD in computer science. Thank you.
Thank you, Vasco. Okay, so I was told to talk about the experience of coming out of the university and building a company, and that's what I'm going to tell you. And it's not all fun and roses. So the university is a very good place to start because you can really test ideas and get the feel of a really smart people and students. You have a class of, 100 students, 200 students, and very quickly you can really pick up the 2 or 3 that are really bright and really passionate, and they have the drive and that they would work nights and weekends to do something a little bit more special, something a little bit better, that are keen to impress you, and eventually you are able to pick those 2-3 guys of each class or each year, and you start to build a good team. So the university is very good for that. Test ideas and hire good, driven people to do stuff. But after that, it becomes much complicated for you to start a company. So in the very beginning, you don't really have anything. You have an idea that you think it's very good, and maybe nobody else except your mother thinks it's very good, and you're really fighting against the big guys, the companies like Microsoft and Google and Facebook and stuff like that. So you're really like a small invisible drop in the ocean, and all you have to live by is the reputation you have at research, the research reputation, the papers you read, and the PhD students you've managed. So in the beginning, that's what you have to sell by. You are an expert of something. And it's very hard to do those 2 roles at the same time. You are building a company, and you have lots of stuff to do, from buying coffee to renting places to hiring people to come up with marketing web pages and stuff like that, and getting funding. And at the same time, you are still in school, and you need to teach and grade and go to meetings and boring meetings and more meetings, and it's just very hard to do both things at the same time. So the first very important lesson is know how to manage time and know how to say no. Learn how to say no. And it's very hard to do when you're a junior professor in a school, just saying no to people above you. And that, well, no, I'm not going to do that. And you need to manage that part carefully, not to burn too many bridges. The second very important thing to learn about coming out of a university is that you really need to adjust your mindset. So when you're doing research, you're doing this thing that must be really perfect. This 12-page paper that you have researched and collected data and repeated experiments over and over, and you're obsessing like little things about the title of the paper and the abstract of the paper and the size of the figure, and that means absolutely nothing in the business world. So speed is much more important than perfection. for a company. You need to iterate fast. You need to do stuff, and you need to bounce that thing off other people's ideas. You need to do it, and if it fails, you need to do it again, and it fails, you need to do it again, which is a totally different mindset of the university, where you need to do it perfect on the very first try, because if you fail, it's like 6 months or 12 months until you get another option to submit a paper to the conference. Then you really need to be brave and get out of your comfort zone. So some people say that if you're not ashamed of your product, you ship too late, which means that even if you think it's crappy, you should put it out there anyway. Which I think is a very good advice, because that's the only way for you to see if your idea is any good. You should just give it to people, to partners. In the beginning, it's hard to do that because you basically have nothing except the idea. There's no product, and you're afraid that you'll get stolen if you just tell the idea. But people most of the time, they are too busy to steal your idea. They have your own lives to do. So probably the most common thing is that you tell them your idea, so excited, and say, yeah. They are not really going to steal the idea. Maybe they will fall asleep with the idea. Okay, so being able to bounce back and put the product in many people's companies and hands is very important. The other important advice is you should try to get some sort of mentors and advisors. So we did that at Fidzai. Even before there was a company called Fidzai, my company, we already had a team of 5 advisors, 5 people we trusted, senior people that have done companies before, and that we were asking them for advice and ways of doing things. And then you should try to aim very high and build the company for growth. So everything you do, you need to think, how will this look like when we are 10 times bigger than we are now? When we are selling to more people, when we have instead of 2 people in the company, 20 people in the company, when we are doing this not in just one city but in 10 cities, because things happen so quickly that if you don't think for growth, it's not going to grow. So you need to aim very high and build the company for growth. For example, you need to hire someone that is maybe not an awesome programmer, but he will be able to manage people and talk with customers, and because he will be able to multitask. And finally, don't look back and just jump in. One of my favorite movie scenes of all time is one of the movie Gattaca. I don't know if you know the movie Gattaca. If you don't know the movie, you should see the movies. One where the guy is making a race with his brother, trying to prove who's the best swimmer, and they swim far out in the ocean, just away from the shore, swim more and more and more and more and more and more, and it's just swimming and just swimming and just swimming. And eventually the brother, which is the successful guy that always wins, says, I cannot swim anymore because I need to go back. And the other guy says, well, I was not saving any energy to go back, I was just going forward. And most of the times, that's what I feel in a startup company. We are just not saving any energy, we're just going like there's no tomorrow, like we are going to shoot very high. And that's my final advice. Jump in and swim forward.
I think that's excellent advice. Okay, so next we have Nuno Arantes de Oliveira, which is one of the founders and the current CEO of Alfama, which most of you probably know, is by now very famous. It's a drug development company focused on a novel class of pharmaceutical. He's also the president of PBio Portugal, the Portugal Biotechnology Industry Organization, and he was a postdoctoral fellow at the IN Plus Center, a doctoral study in Gulbenkian program in biology and medicine. Wow, that's impressive.
Thank you very much. I don't have a presentation, so I'll just stand here, if you don't mind. So perhaps the first thing I should say is that Alfama is not a spin-off of any university. So I don't have that experience to share with you. But what I can share with you is what we indeed are. Alfama is a drug development company. We develop a new class of drugs. What this means is that we are in probably the highest risk and highest potential return sector there is, at least in biotech. It takes a long time and a lot of money to develop a drug, as you may know. So it's fun. Now, Alfama, well, first a question to the audience. Who here knows what carbon monoxide is? Raise your hand. Okay. Who likes carbon monoxide? Who is a fan of carbon monoxide? I am. Okay, so that's the start of Alfama. Carbon monoxide, or CO, is a drug that is known as, it's a molecule that is known as a toxin, poison. You can die. If you fill this room up with carbon monoxide, we all die. Just like what would happen if we fill this room with pure oxygen or with water, right? So just like oxygen and water, CO is actually good for us if in the right amount. We are all exhaling CO as we stand here now, at least those of us who are alive. So the idea in the basis of Alfama was to use CO as a drug. And that idea arose in the mind of a gentleman called Werner Haas, who was one of my co-founders. There's 4 founders in Alfama. One is Werner. Werner is I would say, legendary character. He's actually behind many of the great discoveries of biology of this century. Not many, but a few. But he's not known for that because he didn't used to put his name in papers. The last company he founded before Alfama, he founded it with Susumu Tonegawa, who was the Nobel laureate for having discovered how antibodies are formed. Before that, Werner was the chief counsel, the chief advisor to the president of Roche Global R&D. So he's an extraordinary guy. He was thinking, how can we use CO as a drug? We know that CO actually can treat a lot of pathologies, especially related to inflammation. But the problem with CO is that if you inhale it, the first thing that happens is that it binds to hemoglobin. It goes to the blood. And it doesn't get out of the blood. It's very hard to take it out of the blood into the tissues that you want to treat. So how to do that? Well, the person who had the tools to do that was my other co-founder, Carlos Romão, who is a professor here at ITQB in Oeiras, who was working with molecules that actually release carbon monoxide, release CO under certain conditions. So the two of them got together, and one knowing the potential of CO for treating disease, the other having the molecules that could do it, they had this idea of the so-called CO releasing molecules, or CORMs. I knew both of them, and I also had a scientific background. I had just come from the US and was looking for interesting projects that were worth something commercially. And my role was to transform their idea into a company, which I did. It's called Alfama. The 4th founder is a gentleman called Stan Kugel, who had never done anything in biotech, but had started, 30 companies in his life, had generated over $500 million in return for his investors. So he was a serial entrepreneur, and he joined us because he believed in the project, and of course his experience was invaluable for us. So the 4 of us started Alfama. And I can't tell you the whole story of the company now, but I'll tell you a few highlights. So we started in 2005. We got a first round of financing, €3.5 million. Of those 3.5, 3 came from the Portuguese state VC in Portugal. Over the years, we've raised about over €10 million, and only about half of that comes from the state. The other half comes from 24 private investors from 4 different countries. And to some of you, this may seem like a lot, but actually it isn't. We should have raised a lot more money than 10 million. So we started in 2005, and right after we started, got that first round of money, we won an award. We were voted by specialists the best startup in Europe among 300 contestants from 22 countries, which was really nice. Got us some visibility. So everything went very well. We started, we actually registered the company in the US first. So Alfama is an American company, believe it or not. And we started a lab in the United States with some professors from Harvard who were working in this field. So we absorbed part of the competition already there. We set up everything in the US that was not available in Portugal in the highest quality. So for example, our IP lawyers are American. We got the best we could find in the world. Our CFO is a very experienced, seasoned American CFO, all based in Boston, where the headquarters of the company are. In 2008, we acquired our biggest competitor, a British company called Hemocorm. As you know, in science, when there's one invention, one discovery in one lab nowadays, usually a similar discovery happens in a bunch of other labs. When there's commercial interest, people start different companies. This happened in the CO field, but we were lucky enough to absorb most of the scientists that were working in CO and corms around the world, especially in the US, and then the other company that had been formed, that was our direct competitor, in this case in London, we acquired it in 2008. That means that we are now in the unique position of actually having complete dominance worldwide over our IP field. And it's a very broad IP field, intellectual property field, because the drugs we're developing are applicable to a number of different diseases. Just to give you a notion, we have seen animal proof of concept. That is, we've shown efficacy of our drugs in animals, in models of over 20 different human diseases, from rheumatoid arthritis to atherosclerosis to stroke, myocardial infarction, multiple sclerosis, liver failure, transplant, asthma, etc., etc., etc. We have data with our molecules in all of it, and we own all this intellectual property. And it's very hard now for competitors to come into the field because of the dominance we have in terms of IP, which in biotech is, of course, crucial. So we've built a nice team of scientists, drug developers, etc. Just to give you a notion of what the potential that we believe the project has, the last person we recruited to lead our preclinical development was a former chief scientist and driver behind Immunogen, which is one of the most successful biotech companies in the US East Coast, or in the world. He joined us. And his salary is probably a third of what he got before, but he got stock options. So that proves he believes in the project. So I'm just giving you a few highlights of Alfama. Lately, we've had a lot of trouble. As you know, venture capital investments for early stage companies has dried out, not around the world. So we're fighting against that. But the key word is persistence and I guess faith in the project. And we believe, as we always have believed, ever more, that we have a potentially a billion project, a $1 billion company in hands. So if anybody wants to know more about this project, please come to me. Thank you.
Okay, I'll present the last of our panelists, and then afterwards there will be a little bit of debate and questions. So the next panelist is actually Bernardo Mota. He's the founder and CEO of Observit. I remember someone told me that you guys in the beginning were working like security offices. You're still? That's awesome. Yeah, so they do security and vision-based systems, and Observit now is 11 years old, right? So congratulations.
Hello everyone, good afternoon, thank you for being here. So I would like to start by telling you a story that happens to me, well, not a lot, but quite sometimes. Whenever I am in a family meeting or going to dinner with some friends, and I run into someone that I haven't seen in a decade or more, and then the conversation starts like this, basically, what are you up to? Are you working? What are you working? And normally we answer, well, I'm working in my company. And then, really, your company? Okay, and what do you do? And this is where I will use my technical phrase, my typical technical phrase. We are a software engineering firm. We develop sophisticated software to do video recording, video management, video analysis. We have software to manage highly complex video control rooms and infrastructures. And then a moment of silence, and the person will say, okay, so you are the guys that are helping to build a Big Brother, right? And then, okay, okay, so we are not bad people. That's when I will try to save everything. We're not bad people. Actually, our software can help to save lives and help to prevent crime. And then I will start to give examples, like for example, when one of our clients has a control room using our software, he can prevent very early on when something is happening. For example, one of our clients, a shopping center, had a small fire that started in the garbage area. The fire system was not working, and thanks to our video analysis software, the operator managed to detect this smoke coming from the garbage container, and he managed to call the fireman and to prevent all of this without anyone inside the shopping ever knowing anything about this. So basically, I will not give you the name of the shopping, it would be incorrect of me, but basically these things happen. And whenever the fire system or the other system is failing, video will be the tool to tell you what's happening. So basically, powerful video management software is very important to prevent crime, to prevent accidents. And so that's how I try to save my image whenever someone calls me Big Brother maker. So basically, then how did we start? So we have 11 years, so quite some age, and we are a spin-off from IST, and we were co-founded. So I'm one of the co-founders. We were co-founded by 2 students and 2 teachers. Basically, we were working in the areas of IP video and video analysis. So software that will extract automatically relevant information from video. And so when we started from scratch, basically. So quite a mad decision to do. We started from scratch, and then we were so excited about software that would process video automatically that we were making our first meetings with typical classical security companies. And so what would happen would be something like this. Two fresh engineers from college would enter this meeting and would face a classical security company and would start talking about bits and bytes and CPU and pixels and all of this, and then the person on the other side would say, "What are you talking about? I'm using VCRs. I'm using cassettes to store my video. What are you talking about? PCs, bytes? What's that?" And so basically, we learned our first lesson. So we needed to listen to what the client really needed instead of trying to push him our bravo, wonderful, sophisticated technology. So that was the first lesson. And then we had to put our video analysis ideas a bit in the drawer in the first 4 or 5 years. And then we developed from scratch a software platform to do the basics, but using IT and hardware. So basically, we developed software to record the video and to do an IP-based management of IP infrastructures of cameras. And so this was our first lesson. Then our second lesson that I would like also to share to you was then in our first year of operations, it took us some 8 months to try to convince a brave first customer to invest in our technology, and that customer was the Almada Forum Shopping. So the person in charge of this decision was quite courageous to do this, because basically it was a company with 2 people, me and my partner, so it was really risky. We had the flash card, the card of IST. This was very important for us. So we were from IST, and if the person talking to us was also an alumni from IST, it was a wonderful conversation starter, because basically we were from the same college, and so it was very good to be able to use this visit card. And then our second lesson, as I was saying, was that in this first client, well, our software, because it was developed almost from scratch, it didn't work quite well. So just to give you an idea, when someone buys a software to record video, they expect it to be recording all the time, and it was not happening. So basically we had some problems. And then when we tried to explain to the client, look, there is a problem because there is this memory area where we have a bug, and the person was saying, I don't care. If you want, you can sleep here. What I want is my system recording all the time. And so in this first year, we were spending our Saturdays and Sundays and holidays inside this shopping center, correcting the bugs and fixing the software. So it was really a big lesson for us. Service is as important as product, basically. So if the client had someone fixing the software inside, no problem with that. So don't try to make up excuses for your software not working. So service was very important for this beginning. And then in the first 4 or 5 years, we were building this platform and trying to prove that it was a good platform. We managed to get into Bank of Portugal, to get into Brisa, the main highway operator in Portugal. Right now we have some 25% of the biggest shopping centers using our technology, and projects in the military area, like for example for the Navy and for the Air Force. So we built an interesting track record of references, and we needed to reach some critical mass, which happened around 2008, where we were able to have a dedicated part of the team working with college. So we have been doing research together with college only in the last 2-3 years. So this is where we are right now. We are maturing new technology in collaboration with IST, aiming at patented technology and aiming at international application of this technology. And we started to internationalize last year. We are starting our operations in Brazil. We have been running some pilots and some tests in the area of facial recognition and license plate recognition in Brazil. And so this is where we are at this moment. Thank you very much.
So politeness should dictate. Oh, first, just one more round of applause for our panelists. I mean, this is really great. Thank you. So as I was saying, politeness should dictate that I should let you ask questions. But to be honest, I want to be selfish, and I have such great people here that I would like to do a couple of those myself, and then we'll open the floor for maybe a couple of questions. I know that the president is sort of, people are waiting to set up outside, so we won't be able to sort of keep going for a long time. But since this is sort of university spin-offs, the first question that I wanted to ask to our panel was, in what ways could the university have helped more? And, you know, how far should you be from the university once you get out of it? You know, like, what should your connection be? And also something that I heard was that it felt to me that once you're out of the university, things are so different from what you were doing before. I mean, maybe in the biotech field is less so because there's very, very heavy research. But I wonder, since, you know, at which point you become so different from what's happening inside the university that it becomes hard to have this kind of synergies you had in the beginning. I don't know, who would like to take this?
Okay, yeah. My idea, as I told, is that actually you were saying that the synergies are stronger in the beginning, and then I mean, in our case, it was the opposite. We had to make a break from the university, very strong one, because as Pedro was saying, it's not possible to be a professor and a manager at the same time, so we choose 100% manager, and then we came back to the university, so that was the dynamics in our case.
So in my perspective, the university is very divided. It's divided by faculty, it's divided by departments, it's divided by research groups. And what I feel is that to build a company, you actually need to do so many good things right. It's not just the research part or the engineering part. So if anything, I like my university to help us with the marketing part, the economics part, the strategy part, the marketing part. So I would like that there should be some courses in the basic curriculum of all the degrees that teach a little bit of making a company. Maybe 1 or 2 classes. Like we have general classes on mathematics and things like that, and general science and general physics, we should have general classes on building companies, okay? So that's my main key point and advice.
My point of view is if you stay inside of the university, it's slower because you spend less money and people are giving free knowledge, and it's not as efficient as if you're spending more money outside of the college and investing in knowledge. So I believe the main reason is money. Money is time, so time.
So I would also agree that it's very important to have something in the last year of curricula in terms of building a company. I remember that I took 2 optional modules, which were accounting and I don't remember the other one. But basically they were not useful for the starting of the business. So basically something in the area of how to build your business plan, how to study well your idea. Don't rush into your project without having a solid business plan. So this would be the most fundamental thing to have. But I would say that the entrepreneur should not wait for college to, well, because it's your business. So basically it's you that need to have your ideas and to be the drive force of your business. Then when you reach when you go to a certain point of maturity, I think it's important that then you will go back to college and say, here I am in the market, these are my customers, this is what I'm doing, and then try to match your commercial and strategic goals with the work being done in college. But then you need some maturity to reach that phase. I think that's what happened to us.
I said we're not a spin-off. We were lucky that the invention of our technology was actually not directly connected to any university-sponsored work. It was in the head of individuals that were not really, one of them was not a professor, the other had not worked in that idea in his lab. And I say lucky because actually, I'm sorry to say, but in Portugal, at least at that time, it would have been a problem if we had to spin out of the university because, because there's such complication, there's different rules, etc. One institution that we were vaguely linked to asked us for €1 million down payment to be there when we had €0. The other was very kind, but they had no rules for anything, so they just allowed us to be there. And a third one actually gave us some free space. So, but we always tried to have this relationship with universities where we have the option. And we have some very good relationships with universities in Portugal and in other countries because we had the option. We were not seen as being a spin-off. In an ideal world, as I think João mentioned, in an ideal world, companies such as ours would stay longer in university, would mature the technology there, and then would come out to the market much more ready and mature. But for that, the universities have to have conditions. There has to be money for developing the technology, and there has to be the knowledge to allow licensing and spinning it out.
I'll be very fast. Okay. There's a huge potential in the universities, especially in Portugal, for new projects, new companies that is not yet explored, I believe. And people should not be too much adverse to risk, and sometimes you cannot follow strictly the rules, especially in universities. If you follow strictly the rules, you will end up not launching a company.
I would like to thank our panelists. Thank you very much. I apologize that we didn't have more time. I think this would be a great debate if we could keep going. I'm sorry that you guys didn't get to ask any questions. I'm happy because I did. But you guys get to ask them all the questions now outside. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to answer them for you. So thank you very much. And I think we conclude our session.